All right, I think we're recording. So, hello everybody, brothers and sisters on planet Earth here. I'm in a very hyper mood today, so being silly. Welcome back to my channel. The energy is just crazy today, absolutely crazy. I woke up literally bouncing off the walls, which when that happens to me, I know that the Schumann resonance of the planet is doing something really funky. I don't know what. I'll have to go and read up on it later. But I hope you are all doing great today with and hanging in there, which I'm going to be doing a video today actually about hanging in there with the hanging in with the hang drum. I'm going to be doing that later. But for right now, I want to welcome to my show, Mr. Hillis Pugh, who is Hillis Pugh is actually, I got to share this with you before I tell you his bio and tell you all about him. I want to tell you that he is what I want to call my soul brother. Right now, we are all connecting with our soul family on Earth. And a lot of us are meeting up with people who we've known in many past lifetimes, or all of our past lifetimes, or some of our past lifetimes. We're all reconnecting right now in this lifetime here. And Hillis and I were actually brother and sister before we came here to Earth in Sirius B, which is a star system. We were related then. And the minute I saw him and I saw his energy and I started talking to him, I immediately knew him. Like I felt like I knew him forever. Like I just known him forever and ever and ever. And I think he felt the same kind of connection. You know, we just felt like we already knew each other. Something really familiar. And you guys are all probably having these similar things happen where you're all connecting with people through social media or videos or whatever. You're meeting people even on the street now where you just have this instant connection where you feel like you've literally known each other forever. And when that happens to you, that is your soul family that we're all reconnecting with right now. So I am really excited to introduce to all of you my soul brother, Hillis Pugh. And Hillis is an author, teacher, speaker, and holistic practitioner who loves to use his gifts and tools to empower people on their journey. And this is so cool, you guys. He is one of 15 certified Lemurian light workers on the entire planet. There's only 15 people on Earth who do this work, and he is one of them. Hillis has taught his gratitude and law of attraction seminars at the Edgar Cayce Center in New York City, Wellset, Kensho Health, Maha Rose, Lightning Society, Breakin Boundaries, and other various locations in New York area. He has also spoken for the Holistic Chamber of Commerce in New York, the New Life Expo, Gratitude Migration, and other events and virtual platforms. Hillis has partnered with WeWork New York for in-person psychic events. Hillis mentors each soul on their path to lift them up so they can see what he sees beyond the physical realm. He is an energy facilitator working with modalities such as psychic mediumship, Reiki, and Lemurian Light Energy to co-create a deeper connection to the soul. The power to nurture and transform people's lives is what motivates Hillis to fulfill his purpose. So welcome to my channel, Hillis. I'm so happy and excited that you're here. How are you doing?
Super excited. I've been looking forward to this like all week. You know,
Me too.
I know just to always reconnect with you is always such a joy. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, same here. So I got to tell you, I really, really, really love that you teach gratitude and law of attraction because those are things that I've been teaching since 2011. I started teaching that, and it's so important. Those topics are so very important. So my big question for you today is, what motivated you to focus on those particular subjects in your healing practice? Like, what drove you to focus on that?
No, I love that question. It's a really beautiful question. And the reason why I teach it, why I share this information is from my own personal experience. I mean, what better way to teach it from your own personal experience? You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's so basically you practice law of attraction yourself and gratitude probably your whole life, I guess, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, as I, typically teach people or how guide them through the process, we often think of gratitude as the simple niceties in life by saying, or simple mannerisms such as saying please and thank you, and being a well-mannered kid, and you take those manners and you just grow up to be a well-mannered person, individual. But it's much deeper than that, and what I help people to understand is that, gratitude is the foundation to manifest what you want. And so people don't understand the symbiotic relationship between gratitude and the law of attraction. And so, you just the Andean culture, they have a word in the Quechua word for this. It's called Ani, Ayni, and it's the reciprocity of energy. It's the exchange of energy. So they've been, thousands upon thousands of years ago, this was embedded in their culture. So I'll bring that knowledge and information to today and modernize it to where we can really step forward in that energy and to help utilize that space to really step into the energy of gratitude and appreciation to really manifest what we really want.
Awesome. So I have a question for you about that. It's something I've been thinking about lately. Do you think that if we started teaching some of these concepts in the schools to kids when they're really little, like if we started, because a lot of parents are not, teaching this because they don't even know about a lot of these subjects. So they're not teaching it to their kids. Do you think that it would make a big difference in the world? Because I do. I think it would be like really cool if we could add this kind of stuff into the school system. Don't you think that would be really awesome?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, that would definitely totally change the world and how it is perceived because, as kids, especially, at the ages from 0 to 4,
Mhm.
more and more kids are remembering their past life energy. And you have parents who don't know what to do. So they go a little crazy and try to find people who can help them and understand, what is my child experiencing when my child is telling me this, and my child is explaining like, and I don't know what to do. And so it's nice to have people who have this understanding, who have this experience to guide them. And so bringing that into context of gratitude and law of attraction, we children is taught, to have these mannerisms, to always say thank you, to always say please, to always be nice to someone, but don't talk to strangers. It's like that's like a no-no. But you can do everything
Right.
else, but that's the one thing you shouldn't do. And so
Mhm.
it just, expands into the basics, just expand the basics into saying, well, the reason why you have to say thank you is because you appreciate something that someone has given you. It's not just because of social norm or social, I forget the word, but, just because you have to. It's not,
Mhm.
you have to is because it's something that you feel good about, and when you have that gratitude, because I help people and guide them into helping them understand that gratitude is heartfelt. The truest form of gratitude is heartfelt, not just oh, just because you have to.
Right. Well, I noticed like with the different, especially the different classes of people, when you get into like middle class and upper middle class and upper class, you see these generations of these kids who are being given everything. I call it entitlement, but they're being given everything. I came from a really poor family, and I started working when I was like 10, 11 years old to help support the family. I started selling candy door to door, and then I babysat, and then I went to work in fast food, and I always, I had to put myself through college. And so I've always been grateful for everything. Like I literally, it was in me, like it was already in me. My parents didn't even teach that to me. It was already in me because I didn't even own much clothing to wear. Like I had nothing, growing up. And so just, I've always been grateful for everything I've always received just because of my circumstances. But then you have these kids that are in these middle to upper class families. And I hate to say it, but that's my kids because I worked my butt off my whole life. And now I'm middle class, and I'm hard, working, and I have a nice house and I have everything. And my kids were born into that. They weren't born into the poor suffering situation. So they are kind of entitled because they've been given a cell phone, they've been given all these things. And that's where I personally think that if parents would start really teaching the gratitude, and if it was really instilled in the school system, if they started teaching that, it would make a huge difference for everyone, in that way.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, if anyone's looking for anyone to teach that in school, hey, call me. Uh, but you hit on something that was very key. is that when you say you had it in you.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, we all have it in us until we forget about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
it's
never
just,
thought about that, that everybody's probably kind of born with some of these things, but then, I call it mind control or whatever, but it's like, society and TV and commercials and movies, and then your teachers and your neighbors and everybody influences the way that you think, the way that you perceive everything. It creates your lens filters for how you perceive the world. And then maybe at some point you were born maybe with gratitude, but then at some point it kind of like goes away, or something like that for some people, not everybody, but for some
yeah.
people. Yeah.
And I mean, it's that form of amnesia. We
Right.
come into this life remembering and knowing and everything else, and then slowly over a period of time of being exposed to a certain culture or certain
Hmm.
things, you tend to align yourself with that particular influential energy. And then when you are in alignment with that influential energy, then of course, with the law of attraction, the more that you are in alignment with it, the more you are in the vibratory resonance with it, the more of it is going to come. And so you just are, so you just get and surround them like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to know that. Oh, I don't have to know that. It's just one of those things.
Right. So is law of attraction something that you feel every single person should understand and know, or do you think it's only for like certain people?
Oh no, everyone should know it. I mean, those are gratitude and law of attraction, they go hand in hand. So everyone should know about it because, from the moment we are born, we are attractors, we are creators. And so the level in which we attract and create can be everything on a small scale, which is by default, where we just, oh, well, I'm going to hand it over to God and God will take care of it. And I don't care what happens. I don't care what comes. That's, manifesting by default. That's created by default because you're leaving it up to someone else. You're giving away your own personal power. And,
Yeah.
as opposed to claiming your power or reclaiming your power, you
Mhm.
step into the role of the creator, the role of the manifester. I'm thinking, well, I wish I could have this or I wish to have that. And so when you get into that mode of those woe is me moments of saying, I wish my life was better, I wish I could have this, I wish I could have that, then some things start happening. And so that's kind of creative, but you're also creating by default, but you're also creating because something better is happening, but it's not quite what you want. And so then you get more specific. So it's like the layers and layers and levels of creating, of really taking your power back to really understand, oh wait, I actually did do that. Oops. Or actually, wait, I did do that. Yes, I'm so good at this. And so it's like you can run away with it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I know so many people who have this belief system that they can just pray and then everything's going to be just fine and they do nothing. And one of my best friends used to say to me, the universe wants to see your work and God wants to see your work. God doesn't, just because you ask for something doesn't mean it's going to be given to you, because you need to put in some sort of effort yourself. So it's kind of like if you sit here and go, I wish for the perfect job, but you're not going to the right places to look for the perfect job. The perfect job's not going to just fall and hit you in the head. You have to get out there and you have to look, through the right channels, make calls to friends, do whatever it takes. You have to put in some kind of effort, some kind of work yourself, but at the same time, you trust in God, you trust in the plan, you trust in what you do the manifesting, the spiritual side of it, and by all means, yes, pray to God, whatever, do the manifesting, but you have to put in some kind of work. You can't, I think the way to refer to it is lazy manifesting. There's people who are lazy manifestors because they're sitting around and thinking, okay, if I wish and I intend that I get $1 million and I just sit here and do nothing, the $1 million is going to show up. And I try to explain to my clients every day, that's not how this works. You have to put in some kind of work. You have to get off your butt and you have to go do something about it. It's not going to just fall in your lap.
Yeah. But it's okay. May I add something to that?
Sure.
So, I like that. And so what I also explain to people that, it's, not beating up no one upside the head, but if you want to be a lazy manifester, be a lazy manifester. Or if you want to be a hard working manifester, be a hard working manifester, but you have to feel into it. You have to do what makes you feel good. You just can't say, oh, I want this, and I'm going to make this happen. You can't, work your fingers 9 to 5 and it's like, well, I did this, and so because then that's how frustration and resentment happens, because you say, well, I did that and that didn't happen, and so, how were you feeling when you were doing it? As opposed to someone who was like, well, a lazy manifester, and say, well, I'm just going to let things happen, and that could be the person who feels good all the time, and things just actually happens. Because I've actually heard stories where people have done nothing, and all they did was feel good. And I've heard stories about the opposite as well. So it's like, one of the things that I really want people to understand, that yes, we have gratitude, yes, we have the law of attraction, but the most important thing is the thing the thing that literally is holding everything in the middle is your emotions and how you feel.
Wow. That's awesome. It's just, I meet so many people every day who just, they want to know how to manifest stuff. So many people come to me with, I don't know what career to be in. I want to make I want my dream job, or a lot of people want to meet a partner. Like they want to meet, they're like, oh, I'm single. I want to meet my perfect partner. Yeah. And, and I always, I'm just always telling them, here's how you manifest, but you have to be willing to do some kind of work. You can't just sit around and say, if you put it this way, if you want a dream partner and you're single and you're hiding in your house all day long, you're not going to meet your dream partner. You got to get your butt out of your house. You got to go to a club, an organization, a walking group, somewhere. You got to go somewhere. You got to get out of the house, because if you're hiding in your house all day, you're just not going to meet your dream partner. It's not going to happen. I mean, you might meet them if you do an online. I mean, it is possible through online, but it's going to be so much easier and so much better if you have friends introduce you at a party. Like my mom, I never forget the story of my mom and dad. My mom flew from Minneapolis to Detroit, and that's where I'm from, was from originally, was Detroit. My mom flew to Detroit. She met my dad because she was introduced to him by a friend. So if she would have stayed in her house and never gone anywhere, never done anything, she never would have met my dad. She got in an airplane, she flew over Lake Michigan and went and met my dad. And a psychic cousin of hers actually predicted that, because she read her tea leaves. Her cousin was reading tea leaves. She did Russian tea leaf reading. And told her she was going to fly over Lake Michigan, and she was going to meet this guy, and said his initials and everything, which were my father's initials. And that she was going to settle down and have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And, she told her all the, the stuff, and it all, happened. But this moral to the story is, you got to get the heck out of your house to get a job, to get a boyfriend, a girlfriend, to get, all of these things that you want. You can't I just don't feel like you can just sit here and do absolutely nothing and it's just going to fall from the sky. I don't think it works like that. That's just.
I mean, you have to get into alignment, and that's how you get into alignment, by taking physical action.
Yep, absolutely. So Hillis, you are one of only 15 people on this entire earth who do this Lemurian Light Energy healing, which, I mean, that is so cool to me. The fact that you're doing that, because I was in Lemuria in one of my past lifetimes. I was in Lemuria twice, actually. I was in Atlantis one time. And so what exactly is Lemurian Light Energy? Can you explain that to everybody?
Sure, it's one who illuminates. No, but seriously, it's one thing that I get so much joy and pleasure from, allowing to see the transformation and the transmutation of my clients. And so what that is, and what I do, especially now that I'm working more virtually now, is I take my clients on a journey to meet their soul, to meet their guides, to meet anyone who is of assistance to them. And on this journey, we reach to find root causes of shame, trauma, guilt, anger, frustration, any of the lower vibrating energies. And most of the root causes are stemmed from childhood. Certain experiences where they may have forgotten about, or experiences they may not want to remember, but they know they exist. So it ranges from this full range of energy spectrums of emotions, because that's where most of the energy is held. It's held in our emotions, it's held in our bodies, it's held in many ways. And so everything that is a result of that root cause is a symptom. So the stress, the anxiety, the anger, the shame, all of those are just symptoms of whatever the root cause may be. And so aside from once I take them on this journey to release whatever said trauma, this could be done in one session, it could be done in 3 sessions, it could be done in 6. It really depends on how deep the client that I work with is willing to go and how much they're willing to invest in clearing out all the old stuff. And sometimes what I love about this work is that I even end up doing soul retrieval with this work as well, which is really fascinating, which is a really brilliant piece that I love, because by giving of ourselves, giving away our power, giving away everything, and that's literally giving a piece of ourselves away. And so what I do is help to bring them back whole through this work. And it's really, really beautiful to witness this.
I've had soul retrieval done. In fact, I had issues because of childhood trauma. It took me years to clear through my childhood trauma. And to everybody who's listening to this video right now, if you have any childhood trauma at all, in order to be on this ascension timeline and get into the fifth density, you need to do your shadow work. You need to get rid of all your trauma. You need to clear and heal this now, because you need to be a fully whole person to really get into that fifth density. Because when you're in fifth density, you have to be clear so that you can allow more light in, and you have to be just 100% love and acceptance and all that positive stuff. You can't have any fears or any traumas. You can't have that stuff stuck in you, because it will, how do I want to say it? That stuff is what lowers your vibration. So it's kind of like impossible to get fully graduated into the fifth density if you're being brought down by trauma and shame and blame and guilt and all these things that we hold inside of us, going all the way back to when we were born. So working with people like Hillis to do Lemurian Light Energy and soul retrieval and all these different types of modalities that are out there, it's really important right now to do this, because this ascension process is going to be going on for probably about the next 5 to 10 years, is what I was told by my guides. And so you have a very short window of time to clear yourself right now. And honestly, you need to do it now, not tomorrow, not next week. You really need to get going on it now, because even though I'm saying 5 to 10 years, that 5 to 10 years could actually be tomorrow, because I'm kind of shown, like, worst case scenarios is it's going to take that long. It might be the end of this year and we're totally in 5D. It might be sooner than later, is what I'm trying to say. So you need to, instead of procrastinating and saying, well, maybe I'll deal with my childhood trauma next year. Guess what? No, you need to deal with it now, right now. So working with people like Hillis, there's so many wonderful light workers and healers out there who help people with trauma and grief and shame and blame and guilt. And if they've been molested when they were a kid or traumatized somehow, or they're holding grief inside of themselves. I had a clear grief that was in me from when I was 10 years old and I lost my grandpa that was tormenting me. I'm 55 years old and I had been tormented for 45 years by this stuff. And I had to go through and do healing work with a practitioner on that, because even though I'm a spiritual teacher and healer, I'm still a human, and I'm still dealing with my own, grief and all that kind of stuff as well. And so I've spent years and years and years and years clearing myself and healing myself and doing the work. And it's so important. And if you're going to be a healer or a teacher of any variety, you can't stand in your power as a healer and teacher if you have all of this baggage. You have to clear it out. And I've spent so many years clearing it out, and I'm clear as a bell right now. There's just maybe like 1 or 2 tiny little things I need to deal with. And those things are because they're around me, because it's people I'm dealing with every day, like my friends and family. I'm still working on that because it's in my face. Like it's, right here, it's like a daily thing. But all my past, that's all been cleared, because I've spent years and years doing this type of stuff. So it's really important to do this kind of work with Hillis and people like that. And so Hillis, why did you choose Lemurian Light Energy as a modality to use over, all the other things that are out there? What made you choose that particular modality?
No, that's a really good question. And so it was just more of an evolution of myself, because I learned my psychic abilities, my clairaudience. And so it's like, oh, what's next? And so I started to do Reiki. And so I was going for my Reiki level 2. And my teacher who teaches this Lemurian Light, he popped into my awareness. And you know how it goes when something pops in, it has my attention. And so even as I say this, I'm even sitting up and just glowing now, as I connected with him. And as he told me about this particular modality, it's like, yes, this is what I'm to do, not my level 2 Reiki, because that is not going to do anything for people.
Mhm.
This is what I need to really accelerate myself to really get through that process. And what was really interesting, because I worked with my teacher for about 6 months, clearing my stuff, before I'm able to do it for other people. And so it's fascinating because, once I saw what it could do for me, I'm like, this is the thing to do. I mean, working with everything from the energy around me presently to nature to crystals to working with every living thing and non-living, just working with that energy. I mean, it was incredible, and now and to see almost an instant transformation in my clients when I do this work, because it's not like you go to a Reiki practitioner and you are symptom free but not root cause free. And so I just want to let people know there's a difference between being symptom free and root cause. Whatever the root cause is, you still will have symptoms depending on the person you go see. But once you get down to the root, you pull it up and it's done. And I can say that working with people, it moves pretty quickly. Anywhere from a month to a few months. It really depends on how deep you want to go.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's not something that goes on for years and years and years. It's fairly fast. It works pretty
Yeah,
quick.
this is the longest I have, and I will say this as a caveat, that if people who choose to do this work with me, they have to do the work. If you don't do the work, then the stuff sticks around.
Mhm.
But yeah, the longest person that I've was 6 months. And that's because there was a lot of stuff you have to get through. But yeah, it's fairly quick. You don't have to. It's almost instant.
Wow. I love that. So I'm going to be teaching an energy basics workshop where I go over all the different energy modalities that are out there. Like there's literally hundreds of energy healing modalities. And I'm going to be explaining to people about all of these. I'm going to have to probably get with you so that I can talk more about the Lemurian, stuff as well, because I want to I'm just including a basic description of each of these. But it's really interesting how each of them kind of, work, how do you want to say, through different aspects of the energy field. Like some of them, you're pulling in universal energy, and some of them you're using your own energy, like with Qigong, you're kind of using your own energy. There's all these different types of things. So with Lemurian light energy, how is that working through? Like, is it you, or are you using guides and angels, or what are you using when you're doing this
So
work?
that's a really good question, and it's an important one too, because none of the energy comes from me,
Mhm.
and that's why I use the term energy facilitator.
Okay.
I facilitate both earth energy and universal energy. So I
Okay.
work with the earth, Gaia, Terra, Tara, work with this energy to help bring it up and to know that the client feels loved, they're rooted in love, and I am rooted in the self that brings this energy up. And you bring in universal energy, with the assistance of my soul, my guides, and the client that I work with their soul, their guides, to be of service, to help release, to let go, whatever is being asked to let go on a soul level. And most of this energy that I work with comes through on the seventh and ninth dimensional energies. So it comes in that way. So that's why, some of the changes happen so rapidly because of where I bring this energy in from, because of the
Oh.
process I go through to prepare to meet with the client. So it's before I meet with anyone, it's at least maybe 20 to 30-minute prep time for me.
Wow.
Go
Wow.
to center and really connect to those high energies because I don't shortchange. It's like when we're in it, and yeah, just to see and feel the energy just after one session and even over a week, just phenomenal.
Wow. So how did you, Hillis, how did you begin? What motivated you to become an energy healer and do this, like the work that you're doing? What got you into doing all this? What drove you to that and inspired you to do this work?
Well, it all actually started with gratitude, to be honest. My journey,
I love
my
that.
journey started back in 2006 and 2008 is when it really hit home and really understanding gratitude and writing about gratitude and being of service that way to let people know that they're not alone on their journey, that other people going through this. So I started writing about gratitude every week for about 3 or 4 years. I was writing about gratitude and my personal observations about gratitude. And then it grew into the law of attraction and understanding that. And then it grew into me learning more about my psychic abilities and grew into that. And so it just kept growing and expanding each and every time. And the core at what this is, and what the reason why I do what I do is to let people know that they are not alone in doing this. And so when I was going for my Reiki too, as I mentioned, it went and expanded into like, no, you need something that will help people accelerate, to help them transform faster. And that's what this was. It was a tool that I felt I needed for myself first, and then I could apply it to other people. So it's just, over 10 years of me doing what I love to do.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. So do you find that I don't want to say that, even though, we have, when we're doing sessions with people, we have to get, we get paid, we get money, because we got to get something back for our energy. Do you feel like I do, that the payment of, how do I want to say, the result, like seeing the end result, like seeing these people healed, like that just like far surpasses like anything. Like, do you
Yeah.
feel that way? It just
Yeah.
like the joy, I guess, like it's almost like I call it building my treasure in heaven is what I call it. But it's like I have like these mounds of treasure that I'm building up in heaven every time I'm healing people, or I'm helping people on their journey. Do you kind of feel like that? Like what you're receiving is way more profound and important than any money that you're paid or anything like that when what you get back.
It is. And I can definitely say that, reading the testimonials is validation of the work that I do, the professionalism that I maintain, and keeping connected with my clients. And it's so funny. It gets to a point where, you work with a person so many times, it gets to be a bit informal. And I have a couple of clients who call me Uncle Hillis.
I love that.
And so, it's just amazing in how, when you work with someone and you know that they need something, and I'm not typically one to push or pry or anything. That's not my style. But when spirit says you need to help this person work on this, there's a way to do it to where it's very subtle and to really help that person. And so, I just remember how I want people to talk to me. And so when someone
Mm.
affectionately calls me Uncle Hillis or whatever, it's very uh, loving,
Yeah,
But if you don't mind, I'll just want to share that story real quick.
sure.
Um, Thank you. When I first was really in the flow of my doing my psychic abilities, when I was in the flow with the educator, volunteering my services. And when I had time, when my time was up, I was done for the day. And it was this woman who was there with her friend, and she got my attention. It's like, you're the person I was supposed to see. You're the person the spirit was guiding me to. And she's like, are you leaving? Are you done for the day? I'm like, unfortunately, I am. However, I am, since spirit called you to me, I'm going to take my time and have this moment with you. And when you create moments like that, it creates clients for life. And she's been my client for I don't know how many years now, just
Wow.
because I allowed myself to be present with her. And so when spirit calls, you got to answer.
That's true. That is so true. So, you say you do psychic mediumship. So how does that work for you? What kind of psychic mediumship work do you do with your clients?
So I am clairaudient. So for those
Okay.
who are watching, what that means is I hear. I
Hmm.
hear spirit, I hear guides, I hear everyone that comes in before I see or feel. And it's the same way as I do anything else. I go in, do my prep, and get ready and center. And so it kind of makes it easy because I don't have to interpret any signs and symbols. I just hear. So and so that's what I love. I mean, the spirit makes it easy for me. It's like, okay, we're just going to tell him everything, and then as more information comes, the more they talk, and the more I began to see, the more I began to feel. But not only are they just talking to me, I also hear sounds of different frequencies, different
Oh,
energies through my hearing as well. And
okay.
so that's another way that I also interpret the energies because sometimes when spirit comes in, they're so high, and I ask them to come down, and they come down as far as they can, and then they emit whatever they emit, and I
A
sometimes may
frequency.
have to interpret certain sounds or frequencies that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
they make it easy for me.
Wow. Not everybody can hear those frequencies, but I got to tell you, a lot of people are starting to now with the ascension symptoms. A lot of people are hearing weird tones in their ears and they're hearing high pitched frequencies. And I've been getting it like really a lot lately. And I think everybody is now starting to like hear the frequent, like we're actually, a lot of us are starting to hear the frequencies, like all the changes in the earth, like the Schumann resonance, and
Yeah.
then the vid density, the changes to the vid density, all the things that are happening. I think a lot of us are now starting to open up and actually hear those frequencies when they're coming in.
Yeah.
Have you been noticing that a lot for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I've been noticing it happening more frequently. But
Hmm.
with me, it's always something people can always attribute it to tinnitus. But for me, I know it's spirit or source God energy connecting with me. And another thing too, would like to add to that is that sometimes when we are shifting up into these frequencies, sometimes, I can speak personally. And so if anyone that is watching this who have to have this happen, that sometimes if your ears get red or if your ears get hot, that's also another way that energy is coming in as well. So don't be frightened or don't be afraid. It's just, part of the process of us evolving into our light bodies, into moving into this 5D energy.
I've actually had the ears getting hot thing happen a couple times, and I didn't know what was happening to me. And it was like, oh my God, is there something wrong? I thought there was something wrong with me because I've had it happen a few times where suddenly my ears got really, really hot. And then I just I asked my guides, and they were like, you're okay, calm down. It's gonna be okay. It's just energy.
Yeah,
So I had to ask because anytime I get these weird sensations or body symptoms, I immediately ask what's going on. I'm a medical intuitive, so I'm able to like scan my own body and know if I have anything wrong at any point in time. I used to blow my doctors away all the time. The allopathic medical doctors, they'd look at me and they'd go, how do you know so much about your body? They'd be like, you're the only one of my doctor used to say this all the time. You're the only one of my patients who is this in tune with their body. She said, I wish all my patients were as in tune as you were, because she said it would make my job much easier as a physician if everybody came in here knowing what's going on, and then they just wanted me to, give them a remedy or help them or tell them what to do, because a lot of people are not, they have a break in the mind body connection. They don't have that mind body connection. And I always say your body is a barometer for your soul. Your soul and your body are very connected.
yeah,
And we get information in through our soul, and then that goes into the physical, which is why the chakras get blocked too. Because I explain to people, because I do chakra clearing on people and healing and stuff like that, and teach them about that. And the chakra system is just your energy body. It's the sections of your energy body that are like the interface between your emotional body and your spirit and your physical body. So what happens is illness is created through negative emotions on a subconscious and conscious level, and stress and trauma and grief and all those things, it goes into the energy body or the chakras, and then it manifests as illness in the physical body. And that's how that works. And so I can actually pretty much go around and diagnose anybody and say, based on the fact that your heart chakra is blocked, you have cardiovascular disease and this and that. I mean, I can pretty much tell like what people have. Yeah. So,
or you around.
Yeah. Or I can tell them if they don't have it now, if they don't get clear, if they don't heal themselves and do the emotional healing work on themselves through working with people like you, with what you're doing, you know, if they don't go see somebody like you or Psyche or any, I mean, there's so many different emotional healing things out there, you know, for clearing trauma and all these things. If they don't do that and they just leave it like that, if they don't have cancer right now, this moment, they're going to get cancer. You know, it's going to happen because, yeah, because 98% of illness is caused by emotional stress. That's either subconscious, conscious, past lifetime, or inherited, you know, well, the other 2% is the one that's inherited through your DNA. So when your ancestors were stressed out, it went into the DNA and then it got passed down to you. Yeah. So that is where all, pretty much all illness has some sort of an emotional cause somewhere. And so it's important for people to do all this work that you're doing and that I'm doing, and that all the, you know, they need to do this. It's important. So speaking of that, what guidance can you give? Because everybody is going through a really, really difficult time right now with all of the politics happening in the world, and the plague that's going around the planet, and the jabs everybody, you know, wants, you know, all of this stuff. People are very traumatized over everything going on. So what kind of important guidance should everyone know during this time of change? What's some advice you can give people?
Well, you know, it's definitely a time of great change, and often with great change comes great trauma, great uncertainty. It's all of these great shifts. You know, it's either one way or the other. Either you're going to be like over here, you're going to be super stressed out, or over here, and like, oh yeah, this is good. I don't care. Just super, you know, nonchalant about it. But and on either side, what I always guide people to do is to build trust with your intuition, to understand that you are your soul, you are your guide, you are this God source creator energy. And your intuition is always sending you messages, always sending you impulses. And it's up to you to interpret that. It's up to you to really understand what those messages are. Because, you know, my mom, who passed away almost 6 years ago, she's always is with me, is always speaking to me, but sometimes I don't always hear her. You know, just like, you know, my soul is always talking to me, always guiding me. And there are moments where, you know, where we all have the moments where I should have listened. If I only would have listened to my gut. And your gut feeling is your intuition. So when you listen to that, when you understand that, and not listen to, you know, your friends, your family, the news, whatever is your source of information, whatever is it for you right now that is getting you through what you need to get through, whatever your informational advice is. Or if you have your pint of ice cream you want to sit and have comfort with, and sit and watch comedies all night. You know, do whatever makes you feel good. But trust your intuition. That's all you can do right now.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. And so, you know, you have all of this work you've done in New York, but you're not in New York anymore, right? Or are you just temporarily not in New York, or are you permanently?
No, I am not in New York anymore. I am in Florida now. I lived in New York for about 8 years, so that's why I have an extensive resume in New York, because that's where I really created a home. But once everything is, you know, lightened up, I tend to travel there to teach again and to do more in-person things, because right now most of my work, 100% of my work right now is virtual.
Right. Well, all of us, right? Because of the situation. That's going to change soon. I really think so. Like, I think what do you think? Like spring, summer, that this is all going to change? I think by the end of summer, I think it's.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like mid to late summer is what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot different by then. I have very hopeful feelings that I keep hearing God tell me trust the plan, trust the plan. And when he says trust the plan, he's not talking about the plan with military or government or this or that. He's talking about his plan. Like he has
Yeah.
a plan to prosper us. And I always believe God has a plan to prosper us and that everything's going in a positive direction. So, I'm looking forward to what's ahead. Like, I think this year is going to be really amazing. Like, I'm listening to all the astrologers and all the Vedic astrologers, Western astrologers. I'm listening to all the other psychic people that are out there because I get my intel, but then I like to call people like you and all my other light worker friends to say, hey, what are you getting? And like compare notes. And what I'm finding out is every one of us is kind of getting the same message that this year is going to be amazing. It's going to be quite a popcorn eating roller coaster ride. And it's like a movie. It's like a big adventure movie, basically. And that by the end of the year, everything's going to be so much better and so, different and everything. So I'm excited about like what's to come. Like I don't have fear about what's to come at all. I think it's all going to be really good, but it's really important for people to know that as we're shifting into this fifth density, that you really need to get yourself as clear and as healed as possible. So contact Hillis. And Hillis, how can people contact you? What's the best way for them to reach out for like a session for a Lemurian healing session or any of the work that you do? How can they get you?
So the best way, if you are following me on social media, you can reach out to me via Facebook or Instagram. You can send me a private message, or you can message me directly to my email, which is hillis@hillispugh.com. And that's HILLIS@HILLISPGH.com. There we can start the process of getting you session, getting you nourished and getting you light fed and filling your body with so much love that, all the lower vibrating energies have no choice but to evacuate.
Awesome. And can you work with people? Like I have followers and subscribers that are actually all over the world, like Ireland and Australia and everywhere. Can you work with people anywhere in the world virtually?
I have clients all across the state, everywhere from California to here in Florida. I have people in the UK that I've worked with, So yeah, I'm kind of international. I haven't quite made it to Australia yet, but
I haven't been there, but I have clients there. I have clients everywhere. I have clients in South Africa, Ireland, UK. I mean, everywhere, Germany, Denmark, all over the place. I love it. I love this virtual thing. It's so awesome.
I know no one's off limits, right? I mean, when you do this work, when you do the work that you and I do, it has to be global. You just can't remain local.
Yeah. And what's so cool is I'm making friends in all these countries. And then when I travel there, because my past, I was a travel agent and I love to travel the world. And so I'm so excited about the idea in the future when all this plague thing goes away that I'm not saying the word on Facebook, on YouTube, because I don't want my channel shut down, because anytime you use specific trigger words, they shut your channel down. So I use code words when I speak on my channel. But when the plague goes away, what I'm looking forward to is actually going all over the world where my clients are and meeting them in person and doing workshops, or even just hanging out with them, like just going and having tea in France or in the UK, go to the UK and hang out. I have one of my actual light worker friends who's like, yeah, let's go meditate at Glastonbury and tour in the UK.
I will be down for that.
Yeah, do you want to do that? We want to go and we want to put together a group of people and go to do like a spiritual tour over in the UK because of all the ley lines and all of the energy there. It's just so incredible. So
I was even talking about going down to Peru because of a friend of mine did a reading for me and said, Hillis, you have to go to Lake Titicaca. You have to go.
Oh, yeah. It's so powerful there. Yes.
Because they said, Hillis, if you go to the gate of the gods, if you stand in that gateway, there's going to be something immense for you. It's going to be a gift waiting for you. I'm like, I have to go. So yeah, it's definitely high up, if not number one on my list of places to go first.
Wow. Well, so, for people who don't know this, Lake Titicaca, which is partially in Peru and partially, part of it is in Peru and part of it is in whatever that other country is that's right next door. I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
can't think of what
It's
it
half
is.
and half in two different countries, but there are ancient ruins that were built by ETs basically that are there. They have actual ET ruins, because if you watch Ancient Aliens show or any of the archaeological shows that are on TV right now on the History Channel or on the Travel Channel or whatever, they've explained that there's no way in heck humans could have created these cities, and they have stargates that are there. They have actually, there's, I think, 22 stargates all around the world that they've discovered, and there's like 9 of them, I think, the military found that actually work, that they've been utilizing. But there's actual stargates are a real thing, believe it or not, where you can go, which is how a lot of these ETs are coming and going.
Yeah, the
So,
one that has, I feel that people have been talking about a lot lately is Golobe Teke
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Turkey.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. A lot of people can't pronounce it. I can't really pronounce it either, but
Yeah, I
it's
can't
like
really. I've mispronounced
Gobi Teki or Gobi. Yeah, but
it.
it's in Turkey. Yeah, I can't pronounce the word, but I see it on Ancient Alien Show all the time. They're constantly, going
Yeah,
there,
because
and
of the
yeah,
frequency that are
yeah.
there, and how I can't remember which was first, and how either Stonehenge or that they mimic each other in terms of their purpose.
I believe it. And there's not just Stonehenge. So like if you go to the UK, there's all of these ancient Druid sites. There's some in Scotland, there's some in England, and there's even some in Ireland where they have these stone circles.
Yeah,
And all of them
yeah,
create some sort of a portal. Like there's some sort of a ley line and a portal kind of thing going on there. And the energies at every one of these places are all, I actually, many years ago, I bought a book. It's so cool. It's on sacred sites all over the world, and it was like an eyewitness book or something like that. I can't remember, but it's all of the sacred sites that are all over the world. And every one of them in that book has some sort of major energy thing going on there. And so I have like this bucket list with, I don't know about you, but I have like my bucket list of things I want to do. One of my things I want to do is I want to visit every single one of those energy portal places, like on Earth. Like I want to go there and I want to meditate and I want to have really supernatural experiences. And I'm really excited about that. So
yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, for you, I mean, that's one of the things I want to do. People always saying, "Hillis, you haven't been to Arizona yet? You haven't been to Sedona?" I'm like, no, I don't feel
Sedona.
like calling to Sedona, but I feel like calling to everywhere else. But that,
Yeah.
but
Sedona, it's kind of interesting. So many years ago, Sedona was a really good place to go, but unfortunately, some what we call Luciferian people went there and they kind of corrupted the energy. I'm hoping that as they're being taken out, because this group of beings is being taken off the planet right now. So as they're being cleared out, I'm hoping that Sedona will get fully restored. I have a lot of friends who were healers in Sedona who bolted out of there and went to other places because the energy there was getting really bad. And I know this for a fact because many years ago, I went there when the energy was really good. I went there and I had really positive experience when I was there. And then I went back again recent times and I had horrible negative experience. And I could really feel the dark, like that dark energy. And it's because a bunch of what I call Luciferians kind of moved in there and kind of they try to use that for their dark magic. You know, they try to utilize the energy to create dark magic. So they've kind of ruined it. And so so once all that's cleared out, I can go back there again, but I'm waiting for it to be totally cleared out. So that's why I personally am more drawn to going to like Stonehenge and Glastonbury and some of those places, because those places have not been corrupted. They still have that really good, powerful energy. Yeah, that pure energy.
Yeah, I want to
So
start traveling more. So yeah, we have to make some stuff happen.
yeah, well, I totally want to do that, and it's so interesting because I was a travel agent and I got laid off because of the plague. I got laid off because of that plague, and then I had an argument with God, and I said, I don't understand this. I thought you wanted me to do this, and I was told that the reason that I went through that experience of learning to book travel and become an expert in that, because I went through a year and a half of college schooling on every country, every culture, like everything, like to do with seeing the world. I went through that so that in the future I can do these healing workshops all over the world. That was like my training, like my boot camp, I guess you can say, because in the future, yeah, because in the future I'm going to be putting together what I do now with the travel experience, and I'm going to be creating like group adventures to places like Machu Picchu and like Titicaca, and I'm going to be putting those together for people, like these healing, group, shamanic journeys or whatever, for people to go and do spiritual work in these places all over the world. So that's why I had that career. That career was like that basic training for me. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I think I can get over this now. Cause I was angry. I was like really angry. I'm like, dang it. I was doing really good and I was building my career as a travel agent. And then it just got like ripped out of, like the rug was like pulled out. And it's like, people need to understand that you have all of these experiences in your life, these challenges and these different experiences, because we're here in a classroom and we're learning. It's all about learning, So you have to turn it around and make lemonade out of the lemons and say, well, how can I take what I learned from that and apply it now? Like, what good things can I do with that information that I achieved? I learned some things from that. How does that apply now? Where am I going with this? What is this going to do for me? You have to turn it around, and you have to look at what gifts did you get out of it? Like, what were the gifts that you got out of that?
Exactly. I can definitely say if it wasn't for my personal experiences, I wouldn't have the foundation that I have now to allow myself to be of service to others the way that I am.
Yeah, it's important. Well, thank you, Hillis, for joining me today. I'm so glad that we got to do this, and I'm looking forward to talking to you some more. Well, always, keeping in touch. Yeah. But I will put Hillis's contact info in the description. So if you look at the description, you'll be able to contact him. And I'm going to probably put your Facebook links as well. So make sure I have those. And thank you all for joining. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you liked it, please like the video so more people can see it. Share it with everybody and subscribe to the station and hit the bell so you're notified when I have more videos. And I'm just so fortunate to have beautiful, amazing guests on my show like Hillis. And my goal is each week to have, or every other week if possible, whatever, to have amazing people on that can give you guys all information to help you on your journey. So thanks again for joining us, and
be
blessed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.